Greetings, brothers and sisters. So this video is more for new people. I hope to post it on Twitter. Hopefully I'll make this short enough to post it on Twitter. And I'm hoping that this video will reach a wider audience. And so there's a solution to the problems we have, all the problems we have as a people. There's a solution to human life, more appropriately, the human ego. There is something that would help people to elevate out of the current situation we find ourselves in, individually and collectively. There's a solution to depression. There's a solution to war. There's a solution to famine. There's a solution to all these problems, right? There's a solution to divorce. There's a solution to, any number of issues, right? And I want to call them problems because they might be something that guides you in the right direction. Miseries is divine blessings. And God, and I'm not talking about the God of religion or any religion. In fact, it's the opposite of that, because religions are preventing you from connecting with the divinity within you, because that's what religions do. But God, in the true essence of what God is, always provides a solution to you personally and to everybody collectively. There's always a solution. But it's never the sexy solution. It's never the solution your ego wants or your ego desires. In fact, your ego is going to reject it. And that's the problem. People's egos will reject a simple solution, the one that is going to involve you yourself changing and minimizing your egotistical reactions and embracing the soul within. People just don't want to do that. Your ego doesn't want to do that, and people don't want to do that. I mean, if there was a solution out there, and there is, then why aren't people finding it, right? And when people find it, why aren't they able to utilize it properly? And both of these things are happening. The majority of you who are listening to this, when I tell you what the solution is, you're going to say, oh yeah, that sucks, and I don't want to do that, right? Oh, that's a disappointment. But it is a solution. You just can't rise up to it. That's not my problem. That's your problem, and it's everybody's problem to some extent. The reason I'm making this video is I was watching the show Halo with my wife, and I absolutely love the show. It's based on a video game I never play and know almost nothing about. And I started watching the show on my own. But I was like, oh my God, this show's incredible. And, I didn't think my wife would enjoy it. I didn't think I was going to enjoy it. But it's a really well-made show, and that just doesn't happen when they make shows or movies based on video games. But last night we were watching like midway through the first season. And this is kind of a spoiler alert, but not really. There's a character named Halsey who's a doctor, a woman doctor, who's responsible for creating these genetically modified, mind-controlled super soldiers called the Spartans. And she's being confronted by the head guy, the master in chief, who is now having memories of his life as a child before his mind was wiped and he was, all these things. And he confronts her and she says, evolution wasn't working, which I agree with, right? I think most people would agree with that. Evolution isn't working. Of course, this takes place in the future, but we're de-evolving. People are getting worse, not better. Our technology is better. Our gadgets are better. Our lifestyle, you could make a case for that being better. At least it's easier. But people themselves are getting worse, and I think most people can see that. People are de-evolving. They're getting more entitled, weaker. There's a breakdown in the family. People are disconnected from any sense of divinity and morality and are getting stupider, all across the board. And so we're going in the wrong direction. Like if there is such a thing as physical evolution, like the Darwinian theory, which I believe in partially, but not the sum total that scientists want to believe it is, right? But if that's a true thing, then we should be getting better and not worse. But we're getting worse, right? We're getting worse because of our own creation, our systemic creation, and our tools and gadgets, right? So we have the internet, which is this, sum total of so many people's existence. But we see how it's affecting ourselves and our children and all of it. It's taking us in the wrong direction. And so we're not evolving, we're de-evolving. And so she was saying that people weren't evolving, this character. And so she took it upon herself to kidnap children, replace them with clones that would shortly die thereafter and cause the grieving family to believe that their child had died. And then genetically manipulate with various levels of whatever they did to create these Spartans in terms of mind control and all these things, right? Into these super soldiers and place implants in them that would, stop them from feeling emotions. And that isn't the solution, right? And so I'm sitting there thinking, if I told this person the solution, because so many of us agree with the problem, and again, this is some fictional character, she wouldn't accept it because she doesn't really want a solution. And that's the problem. Most people pretend they want a solution, but they want a solution on their terms, on their egotistical terms, which they change other people through some, that other people have to change. But very few people want a solution where they themselves see that they're the problem, right? That they're, in terms of putting into a video game metaphor, the big boss is your ego. The big boss at the end of the video game is your ego, right? It isn't some external force. It isn't, the Republicans and the Democrats. It isn't the left versus the right. It's not your ex-wife or your ex-husband. It's not your, your estranged brother or parents. It's not, the Joe Biden or Donald Trump. It's not any of these things, right? It is you and your ego. And that's what has to change. Most people don't want to accept that they have to change, that there's a saint within you. Every person there is a realized soul. There is your full potential as a spiritual being. We could all be saints. The potential is there for all of us to be saints. And not saints where, you're some spiritual guru or leader. People are telling you how great you are. Nothing like that. Like just actually being a saint. Elevating your behavior to work for God in such a way that you're putting your own needs and your own, your own personal, whatever it is, desires and things. You're neglecting them to serve God and through that serve other people and live a selfless life, not a life of entitlement and whining about, what you didn't get or this, that, and the other thing. Making yourself into some imaginary victim and blaming the world for your problems. And most of all, waiting for other people to change. And so I woke up early this morning and I was, I do a morning meditation, which I'll talk about because that's, part of the solution. It's April 4th. It's Thursday, April 4th, 2024. And there were some posts. There was some Twitter posts. I'm not really on Twitter very much. I don't use Twitter. But I've been getting a lot of, these recommendations from Twitter, which is now called X. And there's something from Elon Musk. And there was something from the actor John Cusack, who, for some reason, I started following without my knowledge of it. I hadn't seen a post of his in years. I know that he's hyper-liberal. And the tweet was R.I.P. Joe. And I thought it was something to do with either Joe Rogan or Joe Biden. And I went to look at it because it was Joe Biden. I thought it might be a gaffe that I would use in one of my videos, right? And so there was no context to it. It could be the actor Joe Flaherty had died and the tweet had been up for a while. I don't know. He died like last week. But there's no context. People who were following him were confused and said, Joe who? But I looked at his whatever it is, his bio. And he said, apocalyptic, disruptor, elephant trainer, justice for all, or no one. A retweet is not an endorsement. Seek truth, live truth. None of those things he's doing, right? I've been aware of these various celebrity faketivists. And, this apocalyptic disruptor, this word disruptor and, all these things. He's now against the Israeli genocide of the Palestinian people, which I agree with, right? And many of us were on board with this before. And many people believe that Israel is like the problem. Jewish people are the problem, and that's not the case. They're not the problem, right? You're the problem. We're all the problem. Our egos are the problem. What they're doing is horrible, and whatever their country's doing to this other country. But it's nothing that America hasn't done, or England hasn't done, or any country and tribe hasn't done in the past, where a dominant force will beat the crap out of a weaker force and oppress the people and enslave them. This has been going on for centuries, thousands of years on planet Earth, in all different cultures and different peoples around the world. And if it isn't other people, it's the environment, it's animals, and egos imposing their will, which is, the problem. And John Cusack, again, would be someone that I would doubt would embrace this real solution, because he'd have to confront himself, right? And, he's a real hyper-liberal who's now turned on, I think, Joe Biden. I mean, it's hard to say from his posts. His posts are now, looks like 100% about Israel and Palestine. But before, he was an anti-Trump guy. He was, all these things, right? But it's the dilemma, and it's what the powers that be want, is that you're hyper-focused on what you consider your enemies and the people who are different than you. And if the Republicans would just change, or the Democrats would just change, this binary system that you're caught in, or if they would just go away, or if we could just get rid of them, life would be great. Or those people in the truth community, they're the woke people, they're awake people. If the other people would just wake up and they see the world the way I see it, if we could just get them to wake up, we get them with sheeple to wake up, and the sheeple think, if we could just get rid of these crazy conspiracy theorists, they're always bothering us trying to change our point, whatever it is, right? It's not everybody else. It's you, right? It's you and your ego. You can only change you. People have to change. We all agree with that. People have to change. Everybody agrees with that. It's a simple problem. People have to change. But it isn't other people, it's you, because you can't change anybody else. Waiting for other people to change, or expecting them to change, or thinking that you're somehow better than them, and if you could just change them to see the world the way you do, the world would be a better place. It's not possible, and it's not a real solution. There is a system available that helps people change. It helps pull the saint out of you, and you have to work at it. It's not a gift. It's not something that's going to work magically. It's something that you have to participate in. But it's there. It's there for everybody. But unfortunately, in my experience, one out of 1,000 people who hear this video or whatever it is will try it. I don't know what it is. It's a small number, small percentage of people. 1 out of 100. It doesn't matter if it's 1 out of 10, right? It's, whatever. That's still dismal. But the bigger problem is that people who embrace it and see that the system works will only do it to whatever extent, right? And, the change is there for them. And you still have to choose to change, right? You still have to choose to change on a daily basis. You still have to be willing to minimize your ego and to embrace your soul's path and the divinity within you. And that's even a greater problem. Like the people who are willing to try it, that's great. Like that's, it's amazing that people would actually contemplate a real solution. But then when they're given the solution, I mean, these are people who have been doing this for years, people who are on the cusp of being saints, and their ego pulls them back down. Like I've seen it over and over again. It's happened in this, this organization around this system that I've been doing for a number of years. But for those of you who want to try it, I'm not really, selling this thing because it's not my thing. It has almost nothing to do with me, literally, just something that I've participated in. And I do it to whatever extent, right? And there's a long-range goal here. One of the great things about the system, it's not limited to this life. It's something that will continue on a maybe multi-life course where people will reincarnate back in to contribute or participate in the system on a higher level each time. And so that's one of the beauties of the thing, that it's, it's there for you. You can go as far as you can now, and you can reach the goal now. You can solve the problem of your human life, your ego, right? With the problem being your ego, the big boss being your ego. You can do it now in an instant, or you can do it, over a period of years or over a period of lifetimes, right? And so I've put together a YouTube channel called Gratefullness Meditation. Gratefullness Meditation with two L's. Grateful with two L's. Just be easier for people to find it. And the system's completely free. It's a meditative system that involves a transmission, which is a divine energy that comes from God, and a cleaning process that cleans away everything that's there within your system, your spiritual grossness, that prevents you from being the saint that you were meant to become, from being the divine being, the divine version of yourself, right? Being completely in the flow and completely service-oriented. And the YouTube channel is comprehensive. It tells you where you can read literature about the system. It is based in the Sahaj Marg system of meditation that I've done a number of years, which has been hijacked by the current defunct guru and fourth president of the system, who, the three previous ones were spiritual masters, one of whom, transformed and helped me transform myself in various ways. Not that I've reached the goal, I'm far from it, but I'm a better person. I'm a better person than I was than I started. And the most important one, I'm more loving. It's a meditation on the heart, and you become a more loving person over time just by doing the meditation and, confronting some of the things you need to confront and seeing yourself, your limitations and embracing your higher nature. Even if you do it a little bit, it's better than none at all. But for those of you watching this on YouTube, there'll be a link in the description box. I'm not sure how to put a link on Twitter because I don't really use it. I haven't posted on Twitter in, probably pretty much years. And when I did post, I just, one of my videos automatically went onto Twitter. But I'm going to try to post this there as well, and hopefully there'll be a link. And so what I want to do now is do a 10-minute meditation where a transmission is given, so you get a chance to experience and feel the transmission. This is called Pranhuiti, the forceless force, and what it is God's love. It's also been called the utilization of the divine energy for the transformation of man and women. And so those of you who want to try it, all you have to do is sit and with the supposition of divine light in your heart, the idea of divine light in the heart, and there'll be a transmission going on for 10 minutes. It doesn't matter when you do it. It goes beyond time and space. It's not coming through the video. It's not coming through the platform. It's coming through your divine connection. And there'll be 10-minute experience of it. And then I'll say that's all. And if you're interested in pursuing this, again, you can find it. You should be able to find it. It's Gratefullness Meditation. And there's lots of videos describing what you do and how you do it. It's comprehensive, like I said. Anyways, please begin meditation. That's all. So if you're interested in this, there'll be possibly links, but maybe not. But either way, you can find it at Gratefulness Meditation. You know, if you're self-seeking change and wanting to change and evolve and become something better than you are, that's there for you. And if you're really about global change and changing the world, you realize that you can only change yourself and affect the overall global problems through your own personal evolution. Otherwise, you just keep on waiting for everyone else to change and whining like a little bitch. Only spirituality will save this world. It's Paul Romano, definitely pointing from the Apocalaughs and the Ascension. Everyone have a blessed day and be grateful.